Yo, what is up, YouTube? Today we got they're called Tico Talks. They're basically like community manager videos that kind of update you on the state of the game, what's going to happen in the near future. And the video is great. It confirms, and I know I've said this a lot on stream and maybe in some of the videos, it just confirms how dedicated that NCSoft and now, of course, Amazon are to making sure that the community feedback that's provided for Throne and Liberty is heard, number one, and number two, instituted into the game or implemented into the game in a way that makes most parties happy, right? Obviously, not everybody's going to be happy, but the video is great. We're going to watch it. We'll kind of pause for commentary and stuff like that. I'll also link the video in the show notes if you just want to watch that instead of hearing me yap. Here we go. Let's watch the video.
Throne and Liberty. My name's Tico, and I'm the Globalization Design Manager at Amazon Games for Throne and Liberty. And I'm here to give you some updates on the game and a little peek at what's coming soon. I've been spending a ton of time in the game, having a blast with all of you, and now that we just released our Haunted Harvest Halloween update, I'm even more excited. I hope everyone has had a chance to check out the event. The limited time Haunted Labyrinth Dungeon is so fun, and I love seeing all the clever things people are doing with their outfits to get in the festive mood. Let's talk a bit about how things have been going and what we're planning in the coming months. First, I want to give a huge thank you to the millions of players that have joined us so far on this journey. We wanted to make sure that crossplay was enabled from day one, and it's been awesome to see that investment pay off. This great community has grown so quickly in this first month, and we're just getting started. Of course, any game launch of this magnitude has lots of craziness that comes with it. We've been in constant contact with NCSoft to address player feedback, and we hope you've seen some of that in the last few weeks. So let's talk more about how we're moving forward. Let's start with a topic we all hate and every MMO deals with: bots. The battle against bots is well underway, and I want to tell you a bit about what we're doing to attack bots on multiple fronts. First, we're continuing to improve our detection algorithms and are now running those daily to ban bots as quickly as possible.
Good.
Second, we're attacking the areas in which bots can operate and continuing to look for ways to make it difficult for bots to do business. But we want to do that while minimizing the impact to real player experience. We have some plans related to the auction house to impose protections to limit bots' impact there. We will share more on that once we are able, but can't reveal too much detail that could be used to circumvent our safeguards. Third, we're actively actioning players who engage in RMT behavior. Participating in RMT negatively impacts several aspects of the game, including empowering bot activity, compromising the hard work of players who follow the rules, and more. We will continue to action players with more severe punishments as appropriate, including negative loose imbalances, full auction house lockouts, suspensions, and bans, as we have zero tolerance for this type of behavior. The next thing I want to talk
First off, the exact stance you want to hear is zero tolerance, right? So as you report bots in game, and I remember doing this in New World a lot, you report them, and then a week later, you see the same bot doing stuff. You know what I mean? You have to know as a player that, number one, like we all know, like, you know, the competitive nature of MMOs in general, but obviously the spirit of playing a game that is, you know, has player v player and even player versus environment with, like, you know, timed things going on. You want the competitive spirit of the game to be preserved, and there should be zero tolerance for cheating across the board, obviously, including like RMT and botting and everything like that.
Talk to you about is world bosses, which are garnering a lot of discussion in the community. So I want to take some time to discuss that. First, let's talk about loot drops. Many of you have been feeling that world bosses have often left you feeling disappointed because you don't feel there's a meaningful chance to acquire gear during these events. To improve this, we're going to do two things. First, we're going to increase the number of portals that appear for Peace Mode bosses. The portals will be generated based on player counts, but on average, I would expect you to see at least one more portal per boss. This should help spread players out across more fights, giving more opportunities to acquire drops. The second thing is we're introducing a new chest drop that has a chance to be included in your participation reward after the boss dies. This chest will allow you to select one of any of the epic items the boss can drop, which we hope will also give players the agency of choosing a reward that's most relevant to them. All items from this chest will be untradeable, though the non-weapon items can be lithographed if the player chooses. Players can expect both of these changes to be live following our maintenance on October 31st.
So that's huge. 2 days away for this change, and I want to give a shout out to the team as well, because this is something, if and he'll allude to this later in the video, using the random dungeon system and applying the opportunity to get the special coin or the blessing that you have to craft with 10 dungeon coins of each type, giving that a random chance to occur along with like an extra coin for each dungeon, incentivizing the random queue, making that smoother, reducing the damage or increasing player damage and max health. Like these things are massive changes to keep or maintain what would be considered not casual, but like a casual core audience, right? The mass amount of people that you want logging in, participating in the game's events, what keeps the economy rolling. All these things are extremely important in an MMO, and you can see them not only through the life of Korea, like the Korean client, but into like even the NA launch and beyond. It seems like they're very focused on, or at least attentive to, the sentiment of this player base, like not getting the chance to get raid boss drops when you've done 100 raid bosses, or at least try to participate in 100 raid bosses and not getting one drop. It feels terrible, and it is hard to really compete with obviously the DPS of entire guilds and even like coordinated groups, right? So there is obviously should be a reward for coordination and grouping up. Socialization is a big part of MMOs. But there also needs to be a consideration for like the solo player or people that don't really enjoy grouping up that much. Should we cater the whole game to them? No, it's an MMO. But should we like also consider them in the design? Yes. And the random solo queue changes, which he's going to talk a little bit later, but you guys know it's live on the game right now. And then also the changes to the raid boss drops. These are big for the game overall, for the long-term health of Throne and Liberty.
We've also been paying attention to the impact that the Eclipse skill is having on Peace Mode bosses occurring within Abyss dungeons. We think that this is disrupting the expected flow of gameplay for individuals attempting to participate in Peace Mode bosses, which are meant to be a PvP-free experience for those players. So we're making an adjustment so that when Peace Mode bosses spawn in dungeons, there will be an additional new portal outside the dungeon that will take players directly to the safe zone inside the dungeon. This way they can enter the Peace Mode boss as expected without passing through areas that may have turned into a conflict zone due to the Eclipse skill. This change is expected to go live in mid-November. The Eclipse skill itself will continue to change the dungeon into conflict mode as always.
Should do that.
Finally, for bosses, there's been talk about how contribution works in relation to the loot drops. Later this week, we will be releasing an article that defines and describes how loot distribution works across all content types. But I want to briefly touch on this specifically for Conflict World bosses. With the recent change locking boss loot to the original owner for 10 minutes, some guilds have been wondering what the value of PvP is in these events. The spirit of the Conflict World boss is that guilds are fighting to control the area to allow their guild to damage the boss and raise their contribution, thus increasing their chances to get better loot. In addition to increasing your own contribution though, you can also decrease other guilds' contribution. In conflict mode, you do this by killing players from rival guilds, which will reduce that player's contribution by 70% each death. So reducing another guild's contribution increases your relative contribution. So it's a major factor in determining the loot that can drop for you. We are working on introducing some contextual UI indicators of contribution amounts, and we hope that this will help guilds be more strategic about which opponents to focus their attacks on. Moving on from world bosses, I want to talk about co-op dungeons. We have made 3 recent changes to matchmaking for dungeons. To help with queue experiences, we introduced a new option to queue for a random dungeon when using party matchmaking, and we made a change to better match players based on their combat power, to better align group capabilities. To help with completion rates, we increased the damage and HP buff when queuing through matchmaking to be 10%, up from 5%. All of these changes went live on October 17th. Then, in order to improve the rate in which players can acquire their desired gear, we made another change following the Haunted Harvest Halloween update that provides a bonus reward when queuing for random dungeons. Each successful random dungeon completion will reward 1 additional dimensional soul shard, and will also have a chance at a larger reward of 1 dimensional essence. We hope that these changes have had a meaningful impact to your experience with co-op dungeons. We're going to keep monitoring the data, we're going to keep listening to player feedback, and we'll continue to tweak if needed. All right.
Yeah, see, and that's what I was talking about. The chance for the essence is huge. Obviously, that's like worth like 70 dungeon coins. And though like I've probably done 20 since it's happened and not got the drop, like when it does happen, it does reward you for your time, and it does feel like, again, you're getting an extra coin as well, so technically like what would be a 25% increase in rewards across the board anyways. But just those little systems that tilt the incentivization to like a more like new or like more casual or solo player friendly player is really big for the game overall. As long as that change and the system itself is apparent to those players, which can be challenging sometimes. Like I honestly didn't really know it happened until I did something, or like I heard about it in game, which I guess is a fine way to find out. But yeah, then maybe they could deliver information a little bit better to in-game players as well. But we'll see.
Systems that players may already be familiar
Overall
with because
positive.
of their time playing on the Korean service. In particular, I want to talk about two systems: substance transformation and the rune system. And I want to be very clear here. Neither of these systems will launch in our service with their current functionality. We're working closely with NCSoft to make updates, and both systems will be improved in a way that will satisfy both Korean and global users. While not all changes are finalized, here are some things I can say for now. For the rune system, it will have at a minimum the following adjustments. First, rune slot unlocking will no longer require RNG to obtain your desired slot type.
That was one of the worst things about the rune system, and it's awesome that it's not RNG anymore. It was terrible how many hammers you would consume to get the glyph slot. And I know a lot of global players are like, what are hammers, what are glyphs? You know, all this stuff will be made more apparent like as we get closer to those systems launches, which it seems to be maybe pretty close. I don't know. They did say like they would see how we progress, and I think a lot of the early access servers are getting close to the end of the line. So we'll see when they implement these new changes. But the rune system itself is a vertical progression system that allows you to apply runes to weapons and to accessories that give you like slight bonuses, and even as you progress further into the rune system, like significant bonuses to main stat or like substats, not like strength, dex, etc., but evasion, hit, etc. So yeah, overall the rune system is fun for vertical progression as long as the RNG is removed and it feels more vertical than like, you know, like all the stuff where that a lot of people, it turns people off from Korean MMOs, specifically like Black Desert, you know, that fail stack, you know, oh, miss, break the item, like all that stuff. The rune system felt so much like that system that it was a big turnoff for people that were vertically progressing past where we're at now. And it's awesome to hear that they've removed the main RNG factor from the system, which is sick. I mean, a massive change overall for the projected acceptance of the rune system in global.
Second, we're introducing a separate rune bag with improved searching capabilities to reduce the burden on your traditional inventory and storage.
Second, like maybe some people would consider the second worst thing about the rune system is the clutter that it caused to your overall inventory and stuff. Most of the time you just destroy the bad ones, but you know, I get like hoarding some good ones occasionally. But a separate rune bag is massive. Good.
While
good
also
stuff.
making it easier to find your desired runes. For substance transformation, it will at a minimum be changed so that tradable items cannot be used in the system. This means you cannot infinitely buy items from the auction house to feed the system to earn rewards. Since the amount of items that can be fed may be decreased because of this, we're evaluating the requirements of how much has to be fed into the system to gain rewards. Although we don't have any specific changes related to trait resonance at this time, this system is not planned to release in the near future, and we are still actively discussing any potential adjustments for this system with NCSoft prior to its release. While we're on the topic of
So for global people, real quick, substance transformation, basically, and this is why like me and probably a lot of other like Korean veterans and and such are hoarding like your purples and like blues, even if they don't have good traits on them. It's because eventually you'll be able to feed these into like a system that might, like, it's RNG, but it basically like gives you an opportunity to roll an item you would actually use. And even some of these items are pretty like significant like items. Like you can roll occasionally like an arc boss weapon and stuff, which is huge. So it is a cool system. I think it is nice to like make every drop in the game matter to some extent. But there were ways like to cheese the system a little bit and roll more. It's good that they're removing this system to make it more like genuine, the system in itself. But also it's nice to know they're adjusting the amount, because it was a significant amount of things you needed to roll like the max tier. So overall good. Just a quick note, make sure you're saving your purples and blues if you can spare the room, because eventually they'll be useful. Like even the useless things that you would want to dissolve, they're going to be useful, specifically your purples, your epics.
Coming systems, I want to talk about a growing desire from our players to have the ability to engage in more structured PvP outside of the competitive large-scale options currently available in the open world events and conquest battles. I'm happy to say this is something we've had on our radar for a while, and we're excited to bring you a new feature really cool that will come in mid-November that will provide on-demand battle feature. I don't want to reveal too much yet, but this will allow players to engage in non-competitive PvP across arenas and conquest battles, with varying numbers of teams and team sizes, both in public and private matches. So stay tuned for more updates about that in the coming weeks. There has been so much great feedback from everyone in the community, both positive comments and suggestions for how to improve the game. Thank you. We're really grateful that you are all this invested in helping us continue to improve the game. We're just getting started, and this week on October 31st, our first player survey will open. You will be able to access it from the Silesium notice board in-game, and I want to really encourage you to take it. We take the results very seriously, and real actions have spawned from all of our previous surveys.
Yes.
We're always listening to your feedback, whether it's through the surveys, reading your reviews on the major gaming platforms, or comments in Discord and social media.
And to be completely clear, what he's saying is true. I know it's usually a meme, it's usually a PR thing to provide an outlet for people to complain and then not respond to the complaints, or report bugs and not get the bugs fixed. But this system that NCSoft and Throne and Liberty have put together, it works because as Korean veterans will tell you, like the game has came a long ways, and even the people, if you're paying attention to the first beta that came out, the game has came out long ways from where it was to now, and a lot of that was from player feedback. They do listen, and if it is a popular opinion, they typically find a way to institute it in a meaningful way.
We're always using your voice to help guide our development and using it to improve the overall Throne and Liberty experience. So please keep the feedback coming. All right, that brings us to the community question. What we'd really like to know is, what would you like to see changed in Throne and Liberty? Leave your thoughts down below in the comments. Please like and subscribe. That lets us know that you want more of these kinds of videos. We'll read each and every comment, so let us know what you think. I really hope this was informative. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in Silesium.
Great stuff from the Throne and Liberty team. Yeah, like and subscribe, obviously. I'll link the video again down, so if you guys want to rewatch it without me, you can. Guys, I expect this to be the norm for the Throne and Liberty team. Continuing to institute and implement changes that improve the overall like sentiment of the game and improve the game as a whole. It's just awesome to see that, this first couple of months or month of Throne and Liberty and Global have such a positive response from the general public, and like just see them hit the ground running like it was in Korea. Just more improvements, more changes, more overall W's for the Throne and Liberty team. Guys, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. We'll be posting Throne and Liberty videos here, so subscribe if you like them. Until next time.